We don't have any EU boys still left in this. Ithro took out Hermison 3-0. Looked like Hermison was the last one still alive. Cake didn't make it too far today, which is to be partially expected. We're going into this game, Pugsyxd versus Wrenched.
2, 1, brawl.
Here we go, Pugsyxd versus Wrenched. No surprises on the character picks at this point. Pugsyxd definitely showed that he's going to be on this Koji, and we'll see how well it does against Wrenched over onto this Asuri.
Now, both of them are coming out of very different sets. We saw Pugsyxd versus Boomy during our block, and that was a very confident 3-0 for the King of the North. But Pugsyxd, on the other hand, he ended up losing to Wrench, but it was a 3-2. Both players last stock red. It was so close between those two. So Wrench could be a little shook off of this, or based on how he's playing right now, apparently that is not the case. Maybe he's just happy to not be against Pugsyxd, maybe not be against a Lance player.
He's like, okay, now I can play my normal game plan against opponents as opposed to Pugsyxd, which, to be fair, you kind of have to have a different play style against a player like Pugsyxd.
Recovery not gonna
almost
quite
takes out Pugsyxd.
Yeah, that was super close. Eli recovery. This one is going to be the knockout blow. Wrench with maybe 100 damage on this. Not too bad whatsoever.
Nice spot dodge from Pugsyxd. Barely able to avoid that combo starter. Downlight into the recovery. Still not enough to take out Wrenched.
And in fact, that was kind of like barely enough to send off screen. The down signature, though, that is going to be enough.
A nice tatami mat coming out from Pugsyxd. And he's going to be sticking with this bow.
Ooh. Are we going to see the gravity cancel neutral signature?
It's
I was expecting it just because he was so late to using his dodge. But man, Wrench just controlled that offstage, and Pugsyxd definitely on the back foot here.
I love the way that Wrench played that offstage. It wasn't like the oppressive, I'm just going to keep hitting you and reading your dodges kind of playstyle. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
bro.
Oh, man.
Wrench now has a massive lead over Pugsyxd off that huge guitar string. Pugsyxd, I don't even know if there's a way back in this one. Nope, that ground pound going to finish that one off. What a huge finish from Wrenched.
Yeah, Wrenched over doubling the damage that Pugsyxd did that entire round. 550 damage to 262. Apocalypse getting immediately banned out. We still do have small walls left, though. We have Demon Island's walls. We have Brawlhaven's walls. Now, of course, Brawlhaven is just a very small map in general.
Instead, it's going to be the good old standard Mammoth Fortress for game number 2. And
3, 2, 1,
what do you tell Pugsyxd to change? Like, that was Wrenched winning in neutral, winning on stage, winning off stage. Like, what can Pugsyxd do?
Yeah, that was almost every facet of the game that Wrench was doing well. His movement was very strong. He was reading dodges from Pugsyxd. You saw in the end, he was just taking him back and forth, had a huge string over on that right corner. He won the offstage without committing too hard. So that wasn't even just like, oh, I got this one dodge read and that's going to give me a lead. It wasn't that at all. It was just calculated offstage play, and he's doing it again.
Pugsyxd able to hold on a little bit better this time, but each of those guitar ground pounds hit so hard. The down air connects. Pugsyxd's got no jumps. The ground pound from Wrenched.
That just point blank ground pound on the right side with guitars. Man, that was rough.
But Pugsyxd comes back. He's got a sword in hand, and again, he is very behind Wrenched. Wrenched maybe 50 to 70 damage on his health right now.
A little bit of juggling coming out from Pugsyxd. The second Nair gets dodged through.
Nice.
Ooh, that'll be the ticket to take out that stock. Pugsyxd not too far behind. He's going to stick with the sword, not even really trying out the bow so far in this game.
Yeah, I think he kind of learned his lesson with the bow. Like, he was trying to play the bow on the first stock of this one, really tried to lean into the bow for the last one. And Wrench just had his number every single time he was going for an approach with that bow. Still trouble. Pugsyxd's above, doesn't go for an attack. Potentially could have had like a down air chase dodge up, but instead Gonna float it off into the distance. Last stock here for Pugsy in game number 2.
Wrench's wait and see edge guards coupled with his really fast reaction time, like that's just a deadly duo.
Yeah. Ooh, falls out of the sidelight. Pugsy getting some good damage here. Hasn't taken too much on his final stock. Needs to finish the stock off of Wrench, but does not connect with the down air. Wrench able to avoid it.
Light recovery into the nair. Got to juggle with the second one. Grabs the Katars. Neutral light into the D-light. Neutral light from Pugsy's going to send Wrench all the way to the other side of the stage. There's the side light. Got the dare. The back side of the dare.
Yeah, but none of these are knockout moves. Ooh. That neutral sig.
That's the dodge, though.
Good movement from Pugsy to get around that threatening position, but he is still bleeding out here. Down sig will do it.
Player 2 wins.
And again, huge damage difference between the two. Not quite as big as the previous game, but 509 to 374.
And Pugsy is going to be forced to a different character, the Undertaker, coming out for Pugsy.
By the way, that 504 damage, you divide that by 3 for all 3 of Pugsy's stocks, that's 169 point, I think it's like 6667. That is not a lot of damage necessary to get those knockouts. That's 20 damage after they turn red.
Yeah, that's pretty optimum. Really well played from Wrench as we get right on into game 3, and Pugsy hoping that this Undertaker is the thing that he needs. He will have more defense, so it'll be a lot harder to get those knockouts at that optimum damage, but still a complete departure in weapon kit. So it's going to take Pugsy a little while to get kind of warmed up on this kit.
We'll see how Wrench is going to deal with this orb and see how Wrench is going to deal with this hammer. Pugsy will have like his similar defensive options with the neutral light both on orb and sword, kind of covering the same area. Ooh. Just little bits of damage. It seems like Pugsy just doesn't quite know what to do.
Yeah, the whole time he was floating above Wrench, it was almost like he was just kind of letting Wrench do the nairs on him, and he was going to just wait for the opportunity to throw out like a down air or ground pound.
Yeah, it's like Wrench just doing wait and see, and then Pugsy was doing wait and see, but Wrench was a lot more confident with his wait and see.
Ooh, weapon toss adding a little bit more damage. Pugsy goes for the neutral signature and the downlight side air. Not quite enough. Yep, that nair is going to help Pugsy touch the wall safely.
Nair not going to be enough. See him jumping up just a little bit to hit the nair. Try to hit another down air, turning around as you scoop from behind before you get below first.
Nice side air from Wrench from behind, and he does take the first stock, but it's not quite the lead that he's had in the past 2 games.
Yeah, this is just a completely different Pugsy from what we saw today and what we saw yesterday in 2s. It just, nothing really seems very confident from Pugsy, which is strange because he knows what to do. Yeah. He's a very strong player, won winter championships. He's an incredible Canadian player, definitely one of the best. I would agree, #1 Canadian player right now, maybe probably behind iThrow, because iThrow is my favorite player. But aside from that, like, this doesn't look like the Pugsy that we've seen.
Yeah, it's a very different Pugsy, and we'll see how well that works out for him right now. It's not working great, but he'll still have loser's bracket at the very least if he loses this game number 3. Nice punish from Pugsy, gets the 3-piece.
The player's whiffing a couple attacks. There's the side light punish from Wrench.
He does get the side air, slowly adding up this damage onto Wrench. Wrench is finding damage in return, gets a huge dribble to himself.
Man, 3 minutes so far in this game, and I think maybe Pugsley's lack of confidence here, or at least what seems like lack of confidence, is it's not that he doesn't know how to play the Koji. It's not like he doesn't know how to play Thor. It's that he doesn't know how to play against Wrenched.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much matchup experience these two have against each other.
In the past year, let's see. I don't think it's been very much. He lost to him. Pugsyxd lost to Wrenched at BCX. Pugsyxd lost to Wrenched at Shine. Pugsyxd lost to Wrenched at Summer Championships. Pugsyxd lost to Wrenched at Spring Championships. So it's been a lot, but it's been a lot in the bad way.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe it's just one of those situations where Wrenched has Pugsyxd's number, and that might be playing into Pugsyxd's mental right now, because the way that he's playing is so drastically different than what we saw from Pugsyxd in 1v1s earlier today, and like you're saying, yesterday as well.
Yeah, in the past year, Wrenched has not lost to Pugsyxd. But it seems like Pugsyxd is doing a much better job of adapting now. He's getting more comfortable in this play style that kind of Wrenched forces you to play, and he takes that game.
Pugsyxd able to retain, takes one game off of Wrenched, gonna put this into game number 4, but still, Pugsyxd's gotta make the run. He's been playing kind of timidly against Wrenched, but we might start seeing him build up that confidence on this Undertaker.
Both players have locked in, waiting to start. Pugsyxd and Wrenched. Wrenched coming in with the strength stance, of course. Pugsyxd coming in with the defense stance. Going to take a little bit out of strength, but as we know, those Thor signatures kill so early. Of course, when you have a heavy weapon in your hand like Hammer, you're hitting those stomp side airs, you're going to be knocking out pretty early as well. So he's definitely not going to be wanting for more strength.
Yeah, that Hammer side signature in particular, the way that it can kind of float out into the empty space if you slide charge it, so good for getting closer to those KO boxes before it does the launch.
There you go. You saw him just use that right on the corner. Ooh, doesn't get the down air before Wrenched. Ends up getting the punish. Pugsyxd over on the edge. Sidelight coming out. There's the nair as well. Big chunks.
Wrenched with some fantastic movement around Pugsyxd. Still holding that sword in hand. Starting to get caught by these sidelights from Pugsyxd, though. Pugsyxd reaching for that recovery. Stomp side air. Oh, man. That slap down the bottom side of that.
He still has movement options. There.
Oh,
what? What?
The clash out almost saved him.
I can't believe that clashed. But yeah, Pugsyxd in this first stock is very indicative that Pugsyxd knows better how to play into Wrenched.
Yeah, he's definitely starting to come alive a little bit more. As he knows he cannot afford to take too much damage here. Nice.
Ooh, nice falling side air. Doesn't commit too much for the ground pound, anything that's going to really lock him in place.
Oh, snap. What is this? Pugsyxd with the big hammer plays. That vertical game. This is the confident Pugsyxd we were expecting.
And you see him go a little bit in on the edge. Goes in with the ground pound. Throws out the recovery just as the safety option. And then gets back on the main platform. Doesn't spend too much time on the edge.
Pugsyxd now with a substantial lead over Wrenched.
His adaptation is fantastic. He's beating Wrenched at his own game, which a ton of players in the past have been unable to do that. There was a time when Wrenched had an insane win streak against Boomy, and Boomy was struggling at playing the game Wrenched was forcing him to play. That's not the case here for Pugsyxd. He's had a long year of losses to Wrenched, but he's really turning it around here.
Recognizing his hammer play is what is doing it for him. Again, going for that vertical play, but knows that Wrenched had the dodge up, so he decided to back off. Didn't want to try to dip down for that down air in case he got punished.
Full stock lead here for Pugsyxd. Was the D-Light dare.
And scoop up. Wrenched goes into the down sig. Pugsyxd. How is he inside of these?
I don't know.
Big
Holy cow, man.
Pugsyxd.
That's a 2-stock.
That's a convincing finish from Pugsyxd, the turnaround. And now it's on Wrenched. Is Wrenched going to make the swap?
Ooh, Wrenched is actually restarting his game real quick.
Oh, snap.
course, Pugsyxd being a little flippant in chat, saying, why wouldn't you? Saying, I'll be right back, too. I don't know if Pinky wants to jump in this lobby. Oh, Boomy's going to jump in the lobby.
It's fine.
But, man, what a turnaround. Because we still saw flavors of Pugsyxd in that. Like, he was playing Wrenched's game. He was playing it very, very well, which is why he was winning, of course. But he was playing Wrenched's game. We still saw those flavors of Pugsyxd. We still see those little pops of seasoning that you get, the little pops of spice, of a Pugsyxd spice in your mouth when you take a bite.
Like
Just
cool
little
ranch
bits
Pugsyxd.
of 3-hit strings, 3-hit string, 3-hit string, putting out those big chunks of damage.
And it does help that he's got that hammer, which is one of those weapons that works well against guitars because of the ability to trade out. Like guitars gets those long extended strings, but a nice 3-hit from a hammer, and you have mitigated that damage difference. When we see Wrenched, he's going to make the swap. He's going to be going over to the Koji now to go bow and sword against Pugsyxd's Undertaker.
So he's now going to use the character against Pugsyxd that Pugsyxd was unsuccessful in using against Wrenched.
3, 2, 1, brawl.
We haven't seen Wrenched report too much Koji play in the past year. In fact, literally 0 Koji play.
Definitely not
It's mostly
too much
been
with,
a
Zero.
Suri, and then there's been a Lucian and an Ember. And that's pretty much it.
Right. When Wrench first started, right, he was known for his Ember, and Ember has the bow. He's gonna have the carryover from that alongside the Asuri sword. So it's not like he's unfamiliar with these weapons, but definitely interesting to see him kind of pull out this character that we haven't seen from him yet.
Yeah, both of his main weapon, or his main weapon of Katars, is wholly absent from this Koji pick.
Goes for the Tatami Mat. Pugsyxd just outside the hitbox for that one. Both of them landing next to each other, but not willing to make the risk of an attack. Side signature thrown out, Wrenched outside of it.
Now, something that Wrench will have on his side definitely here is the very high dexterity that Koji has. So he's going to have very low recovery frames. Pugsyxd's going to have to really be on it if he wants to find those punishes, which in the first stock, he definitely was. You saw him take out that first stock. He's finding more damage here. Already has Wrenched in the yellow. Dodge is coming out. Wrench is struggling to find some punish. That's like the first one that we've seen in quite some time. Hammer coming back out for Pugsyxd.
Wrench gets a side air. Gonna go in low, but respects that recovery threat from Pugsyxd's hammer. Nice weapon toss. Another weapon toss, and that'll be the stock.
Now that's going to be something that can be very successful for Wrenched, is with those weapon tosses coming in at that 45-degree angle, or even just aggressing at the 45-degree angle, throwing out those down airs on the edge. Pugsyxd isn't going to have the best option to respond to those with hammer. Those are going to be straight cardinal directions, straight up, straight to the left, straight to the right, straight down. So those 45-degree angles can be good for Wrenched.
Same holds relatively true for the orb as well for Pugsyxd. That neutral air does kind of go forward, but not quite at that 45. Same with that side air.
And with the neutral air, if Wrenched has a bow coming in at that 45, that down air is going to outrange Pugsyxd.
For sure. Do see Pugsyxd though with the slight health advantage, throws out the side signature. Wrench not able to get the punish. It's trouble. Just kidding.
I don't know why I forgot about that 45-degree option. Like, probably the best one in the entire game.
Well, it's because it got hit with the nerf, right? And then people were like, all right, we're not going to use this off stage all the time the way that it like was used for a period in time. And Pugsyxd able to keep it in the back pocket just long enough for when he needed it.
Yeah, I think Wrench is going to struggle to find priority against that with anything other than like a weapon toss.
I mean, but at the same time, it's still a signature. It's going to have recovery frames at the end of it. If he's able to kind of suss out that it's going to happen, stay above it, and hit a bow ground pound, that's a big punish on top of it.
Wrenched with very defensive movement right now. Pugsyxd completely zoning him away.
Ooh,
Seemed like he was on the right side of the stage for 20 seconds.
Yeah, those were some really solid hits from Pugsyxd with those hammers. Just putting out those hitboxes, making sure Wrench couldn't get too close. Again, back to these hammer nairs from Pugsyxd.
We are in our game 5 situation with Pugsy very much in the lead. Wrench is going to have to be very careful. If the side light doesn't find the neutral light, stop, side air. Pugsy somehow coming back into that. Oh my gosh, what a response. Still proving he's the king in the north, moving into the winners finals.
Pugsy guarantees his place in the top 3 of things with this Undertaker swap. And you could really see the confidence coming alive, right? Like you and I were both kind of pointing out that in game number 1 and number 2, it was a very awkward and clunky Pugsy, going through puberty, not sure how to deal with the world. And then game 3, started to figure things out. Game 4 and 5, suddenly he's alive. And that was like, just look at game 5 in comparison to game 1, completely different play style from Pugsyxd.
That you mentioned